This video, I want to talk about cloud computing, especially some of the barriers around adopting cloud computing. I think there's no doubt that lots of companies are looking into cloud computing. They can see the benefits, but lots of them are quite scared about making this move. So I'm here with Andrew Sutherland. You are Oracle's Senior Vice President for Cloud in EMEA, and you are close to customers all across EMEA. So maybe you can share with me what you see as some of the barriers. What are the kind of discussions you have when customers are first coming to you to say,
Great question.
Cloud?
And I think that it's a very, very real question. Sometimes if you listen to everything coming out in advertising and so on, you'd think, well, why doesn't everybody move everything tomorrow? Why not? Just boom, everybody should have it. But in the adoption of any new technologies, there's always a certain process. I believe it took hundreds of years, even for the plough, to spread across Europe. You think, well, everybody would adopt it now. You can get an awful lot more food an awful lot more quickly. But there is a process of adoption, and I think it's a very good question. What's halting that, and how do we improve it? Within the cloud, the first, and this isn't necessarily just what they come to today, I'm talking over time as well, and some of these problems have been solved, some of these barriers have been overcome. I think one of the first ones was simply functional fit. I just need to do these things. I've done these things on premise with the following pieces of software. Can I do it in the cloud? And in the early days, that just wasn't there. You didn't have the functional fit. Now, I spent some time doing keynotes on our Oracle's OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And I have to say, it was last year or so. I had a slide which had all the services in OCI, and I used to have to, every time I gave it, I'd have to get a smaller and smaller font to fit in all of the services. They've been developing them so quickly. So there's compute and storage, but far more than that now. All these services they offer through Kubernetes service, security service. So the functional fit's kind of gone away. You can do most things on the cloud that you could do on premise. Obviously, there's a financial fit. I've got to see this being cheaper. And often it can mean that it's at a juncture. It's at a point where maybe I'm retiring my hardware or my hardware support renewal's coming up. But there can also be, even mid-cycle in hardware, we've got many customers who can see a very compelling financial fit as well. The benefits now in moving to cloud, often through reduction in expensive labor costs, especially with autonomous database, you can reduce that. Higher performance, these things can add up to a pretty compelling business case financially pretty quickly. But you touched on it in your introduction here actually. There's all these headlines, functional fit, financial fit. Often the reality is, just the same with all of us in life, at the end of the day, we're reluctant to touch things that we don't think are broken in case we cause more trouble. There's a risk, a feeling of risk and upset and hassle. Am I going to risk anything in making this move? And I think that's a big learning, by the way, I think in humanity's journey to the cloud is, however exciting that golden apple is of, superbly performant, highly secure cloud, etc. If you can't get to it, it might as well not be there. So I've thought long and hard about how to make it simple to migrate to that cloud, how to lift and shift an application almost trivially onto the cloud, how to make it very, very rapid to replatforming. Also associated with risk, so that's been a big part of this, that's a big barrier to drop. Associated with the feeling of risk, and this is almost done a 180, has been security. And I sat on stages and sat with customers a couple of years ago, and one of the major objections would be security. I'm not sharing my data with so-and-so. But the design of OCI has meant that we've isolated customers to such an extent from one another and from the hypervisor. And of course, we've got the professionals to look after the cloud. It is now a well understood fact that actually placing your process and information in the cloud is actually more secure. So that risk factor is going down. One of them has been, I may have been using an ecosystem on premise. Maybe I had some of my logic in Microsoft, some of my logic in Oracle. So we've announced a partnership between the two to allow that barrier to go away as well. So I think it's an excellent question. It's pushing against all of these hurdles all of the time, making sure the functional fit, making sure it's financially and performance-wise, and then overcoming these risks, being able to move there quickly. Because we're firmly of the belief that moving to cloud it's just a good technology. It's like moving to green technologies. It's like, you know, moving to electric from diesel or whatever. It's a better way to do things, and the sooner we're all onto that, the sooner we can benefit from it and move on and innovate.
Another challenge or barrier that I hear customers talk about is that they see that there's a danger that you get locked into infrastructure.
And I can see why people would have thought that maybe in previous generations of IT, you know, like every organization in the world, you know, you want your customers to stay with you. But I think that doesn't really, certainly within Oracle, we've really been very careful to make sure that our cloud is entirely open. If you have something running on premise, another database, be our guest, run it on our cloud. If you want to run the Oracle database on somebody else's cloud, you can. If you want to run somebody else's database, as long as they make it available, you can run it on our cloud. Very keen to make that as open as possible. Again, we want to encourage people to move on to cloud and get benefit from it.
Regulation is another issue.
Regulation is another area that's a very good point, and I guess it would be wonderful if we had, you know, a world government. Here we are in the world of Brexit and so on, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a world governing body that governed data protection and what have you? We didn't need to worry about that, but we do. And there are regulations and there are different sovereign requirements, and many of our customers are not necessarily able to adopt cloud the way that they want to for that reason. And that's necessity is the mother of invention. That's really been the driver behind us creating something called Cloud at Customer, which is also available, OCI, this new cloud architecture, highly secure. We've made Cloud at Customer available within that. What that is a little slice. If the Oracle cloud is a pizza, then it's a slice of pizza. That's like Forrest Gump here. It's a slice of pizza behind your firewall. So it remains owned by Oracle. It remains managed by Oracle. So as far as you're concerned, when you log into it, it's the Oracle cloud. But it is in fact on your premises. So you can tell your government and your regulators, your data is absolutely under your control. You've got the keys to it. It's not off your premises. And so I think, again, necessity is the mother of invention. That's driven a solution to that very real barrier.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great pleasure as always to speak to you.
Thank you, Andrew.